believe is going to be useful for us in our discussion tonight. So there has been an introduction about myself, and thank you so much as well for the introductions. It's so strange. I hardly ever call myself Engineer Ndashio. Perhaps sometimes I have to be reminded that I am one. Yeah, but I'm so grateful. I do have a history with the Copperbelt University, which I believe a number of you are probably under that school, albeit maybe the School of Medicine. Yeah, but I do have a history with the Copperbelt University, and I'm grateful for what the Lord has done in my movements, my progression in life to the things that He has enabled me to do to this day. But since tonight is not about me, but it's about purpose and connectivity, let us get into purpose and connectivity and have a conversation around that. And if by chance you notice my network breaking or not clear enough, please do let me know. Put a comment in the message box so that we can do what the purpose of our interaction is, which is communication. The whole point of me talking is communication. So please do feel free to let me know if at any point we do have any challenge, and I'll be more than happy to make any adjustments to help the flow of our time together. Purpose. I do believe that from just what I've observed and what has been shared with me, probably you've had an opportunity to break that word down, to break the ice, begin to understand purpose, or actually even understand purpose, have conversation around it. It is such a critical thing for us to understand. It is a critical topic for us to discuss, and one that is so dynamic, it is so diverse that we cannot even cover in a moment or in a day. It is a lifelong learning when it comes to the subject of purpose. So I'm excited to have a chance to add to the knowledge that you already have concerning the subject of purpose, but we are linking it to connectivity. And I'm going to take us in the next few minutes in a way that is going to open our perspective up a little bit more as regards to purpose and connectivity. So if I'm just defining these two key words in my presentation for the purpose of tonight, when we talk about purpose, we're talking about original intent, right? We're talking about original intent, the why, the reason for which something exists. Original intent, the why, the reason for which something exists. All of these things are in essence talking about purpose. Purpose. What is the why? What is the reason for which you exist? What is the reason for which the School of Medicine exists? What is the reason for which that business X exists? Original intent. And as regards to you and I, what is the reason for which we were made? I do believe that we were made. We did not just, come out of thin air, but we were made. There's a maker behind our lives. And I do believe that maker had intent in mind when he made John, when he made Mapala, when he made Kalenga. There was a purpose, there was a specific purpose in the mind of the inventor. There is nothing through history that has ever been made without purpose first being conceived in the mind or heart of the inventor. Somebody conceived the purpose of a light bulb and therefore made it. So before it was made, there was purpose conceived first of all. Before someone ever made a mobile phone, there was first of all purpose conceived within the heart of the inventor, within the mind of the inventor. Before whatever has been made was ever made, there was first purpose. And so the original intent, it is something that we need to seek to understand, because as Dr. Miles Monroe once put it, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Abuse is inevitable where purpose is not known. So that is one of the key terms in our discussion or conversation tonight. The other key term, of course, is connectivity. Connectivity. And of course, our president did a good job in just highlighting for us what this is about. We're really talking about connecting. We're really talking about networking. We're really talking about meaningful connections, linking two things or multiple things together so that we can find some commonalities, we can find some things that we can do together for the sake of progress, for the sake of the fulfillment of purpose. Purpose and connectivity. Right. I want to use some sort of an illustration here, if I may, to cover our conversation for tonight. Okay. I want you to, if you are one who is into taking notes and you're taking notes, I want you to just kind of draw a circle, not kind of, but draw a circle in the middle of the page. Draw a circle in the middle of the page and just write you. In fact, I have something that I can share with you that I think can aid what I want to share with you tonight. So let me just quickly do this. All right. So I'm going to cover our conversation tonight using this illustration or this diagram, right? I'm going to use this for the purpose of our conversation tonight. So there is you right at the center. And when we talk about purpose and connectivity, for me, it is more than just connecting with people. The primary connection is going to be your connection with God, your connection with self, and then the connection with others, right? So I'm going to use this to lead us through our conversation. And so to start it off, why does it matter that in talking about purpose and connectivity, we do consider the conversation of your connectivity and my connectivity with God? Why does that conversation even matter? So let's pick it up from there, right? Why does this even matter? Connectivity with God matters because we originate from Him. He is the author of purpose and the ultimate visionary. So there's no vision that I can have that is, if I'm one that aligns myself to God, any vision that I conceive, the ultimate visionary is God Himself. So my journey of purpose discovery starts with my source. So I find my purpose in my source, my identity from my source, my vision from the ultimate visionary. So this connection is absolutely essential. I cannot teach you anything other than what I have lived and lived by. Otherwise, I'll be, teaching from a place that is without integrity, right? This is how I've realized the journey to purpose discovery and how we can become a people of significance, leaders that are going to shape the Africa that we want to see, as is part of what this journey is about with A+ Foundation, right? So there has to be this critical connection. For me to begin to find my why, I have to begin to investigate it from where I come from. And identity is absolutely essential because I am able to do because of who I am. I am able to do because of how I was wired. I am able to do because of whose I am. There are things about the discovery of my identity that position me to be able to do purpose more effectively. So this is a critical conversation. There are things that no matter how much you try, if you took an iTel, I don't even know the model number, if you took an iTel and tries to have it perform like an iPhone 15 Pro Max, it will not be able to. And there's something about its identity that will reveal to you its limitations and capabilities. Just as much as if you took an iPhone 15 Pro Max, because of its identity, you know what it is. You have an anticipation and an awareness of its capabilities based on its identity. But you cannot identify that phone minus connection to its source. So this is where the conversation starts. The one critical connectivity, the one critical connection we cannot neglect is the upward connection, one that starts with God. Genesis 1:26-28, and God said, "Let us make man in our own image and likeness." There begins the unfolding of identity, that they may rule. There begins the journey of purpose and significance over the earth, and there's a place for us to do assignment. So that's the first connection we need. The second connection we need is we need a connection with self. You have to be in touch with yourself. This is a connectivity or a connection that absolutely matters. Are you connected to yourself? Are you aware of your gifts, your strengths, and your passions? Because all of these are going to feed into your ability to effectively carry out purpose. Without the awareness of the tools that you have, you will go up and about looking for everything you can use to do your purpose, when in the meanwhile, you've had it with you. Or you will try to use the wrong tool for the right job. You will try to use the wrong tool for the right job. A shovel is a right tool, but when you take a shovel to the garage to try and fix a car, you have taken the right tool to the wrong assignment. And you can detest what a shovel is when you try to use it outside of its proper context, outside of where it was designed to be used. But God, in His fairness, has given you and I gifts, strengths, and passions that help us to be effective in our work of purpose. So are you in touch with yourself? There is need to be connected to yourself, to be in touch, discover what is it that God has absolutely gifted me with. Now, you will not have every single gift in this world. God, in His wisdom, I believe, has distributed gifts, talents, and strengths and knowledge in such a way that every man will need another man. And this will lead us to our next point, which is others. But let me just also talk about strengths. There are absolutely things that you are good at. There are absolutely things that you are an absolute genius at. But I also want you to be aware, you are a genius at something, you are not a genius at everything. And that is absolutely, absolutely okay. It is absolutely okay. I'm a genius at something, I'm not a genius at everything. But there are some things that are my absolute strengths, they are my absolute joys. When I do them, I'm energized. There are passions that point me to my places of assignments. This is why passions matter. The things that you are passionate about most of the time are what are going to lead you into institutions and structures that act as places where you can do purpose. So you may be passionate about people, you may be passionate about education, you may be passionate about literacy, whatever that kind of literacy may be, whether financial or just general literacy, whatever that may look like, that may be your passion. And that passion will more often than not point you to your places of assignment or lead you into your places of assignment. Now, assignment is not purpose. It's just a vehicle that enables you to do purpose. Assignments can change. Today you may be in school and under A+, and you are fulfilling purpose as you save in this fellowship, or whatever or whatever structure you may be submitted to at this point of your life, and you're doing assignments, but it doesn't mean to be what you will do for the rest of your life. Assignments change, but purpose remains. Right? So discover what is in your toolbox so that you can use it effectively. Be in touch. Be in touch with yourself. Connectivity to self absolutely matters. And of course, something that I do believe is a point of emphasis for us tonight is networking or connectivity, connection with others. We'll find partners, we'll find helpers, and we'll find modders. Partners, they are people that we meet in doing purpose, that we partner with to be able to fulfill what our mandate is. I don't know what your mandate looks like or what it is, but as you discover it, you realize also that you cannot walk the journey of purpose alone. You will have some partners, whatever that may look like. It may not even be a formal partnership or relationship, but there are people along the journey of our lives that we absolutely partner with to be able to do some things. I remember when I was at CBU, part of what I do is ministry, and my time at CBU is when I got introduced to Pastor Chang, and it was such a divine partnership in that season for us to do ministry together, hosted a few meetings together, but also we started having conversations that built me, conversations that built both of us, pushed one another, and we started, doing ministry now, even out of school. It was such a partnership that was so critical for me. It was critical for my fellowship, the fellowship that I was sharing, and it propelled me. So we meet partners, and sometimes these partners you may meet them and you may be around them for a period of time, or sometimes it may be for a lifetime, but we will need partners to be able to do purpose. You will have some helpers, people that come. They may not even be partners to always be present there. But there are people that may just come to render help. Maybe you're just struggling with the course, right? And you just need some help. All of whatever helps, whatever comes to contribute to your ability to do purpose, those connectivities, those networks are critical. Those networks are important. And of course, you have the final aspect to this, and that is the aspect of modders. These may be teachers, these may be mentors, these may be pastors, these may be friends, but they are people that, as we listen to, as we interact with, they take the place of martyrs. They take the place of martyrs, right? And that is absolutely critical because, and of course I'm going to reference the scriptures a lot because I learn a lot from the scriptures. If you look at Jesus and calling the first disciples, he calls them and he says, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. Follow me, I will make you fishers of men. He was literally inviting them into a journey of transformation. Follow me, let us have this walk together and this journey. I will make you. He took on himself the responsibility to begin to make these fishermen into world changers. So Peter met a model. He met a model, somebody that would mold his life through his teaching, his lifestyle. So through observation and learning, or observation and teaching, Peter would then go through this journey of transformation. Now, I want you to see the three parts to this entire conversation here. Follow me, I will make you fishers of men. So the first part is about followership. It is those that we follow more often than not that impart us to, what can I say? Let me just hold myself there and say this again properly. Followership. It is those that we follow that we have given permission to become models. Models. M-O-L-D-E-R-S. Models. Those we follow, we have given permission to models. Come, follow me. I will make you. But what makes Jesus so special as a leader is that his molding process was an intentional process. He was not molding his disciples by accident. He took on himself that responsibility. So he was actively teaching them. That is why he taught them things sometimes that he never even taught to the masses. Because for him, it was a deliberate journey and process that it was taking these people that had submitted themselves to him to follow. I will make you. So the second part is about transformation or formation. I will make you. Then the third part, fishers of men. So the journey did not just end with them getting transformed. They had a place of participation. Fishers of men. He already announced the assignment. And so our journey of connection with others, our journey with connection with partners, helpers, and models, we are following so that we can learn. We are finding help and we are submitting ourselves to models. The kind of world changes that we want to be is going to take connection with others. Those that are going to come to help us, those that are going to come to partner with us, and those that are going to come to mold us. It all works together. Let me read a scripture for you. Colossians chapter 4, verse 7 to somewhere 11. That's Colossians chapter 4. I read from verse 7. The Bible says, Tychicus. Now we're going to experience some strange names here, so please pardon me. Okay. Tychicus will tell you all the news about me. He is a dear brother, a faithful minister and fellow servant in the Lord. I am sending him to you for the express purpose that you may know about our circumstances and that he may encourage your hearts. Now, the whole point of my reading of these few scriptures I'm about to read is, I want you to pay attention to the number of names the Apostle Paul mentions. If you are one that has paid attention to scriptures, or just, Paul is such a famous figure in the New Testament. I mean, he has written a third of the New Testament. And this is such a tremendous man who did tremendous things in the New Testament. But what I want you to pay attention to as I read these next few verses is that Paul never did what he did because he was just a superhero. He was a man who knew how to connect and work with others. He had people. So the first name we hear here is Tychicus, who will tell you all the news about Paul. Then in verse 9, he continues, he is coming with Onesimus, that's another name, our faithful dear brother who is one of you. They will tell you everything that is happening here. So if these people know everything that is happening in this place where the Apostle Paul is, it means they have a certain connection and they are co-laborers. They are partners with Paul in what he is doing. And then verse 10, my fellow prisoner, Aristarchus, I just said that name. If you're reading, you see the name and you can read it better than me, I know. That's another name. Sends you his greetings, as does Mark. That's another name. The cousin of Barnabas. You have received instruction about him. If he comes to you, welcome him. Jesus, that is another name. This is not Jesus the Christ. This is another Jesus. Jesus is a common name in Israel. Jesus, who is called Justus, also sends greetings. So that's another name. These are the only Jews among my fellow workers for the kingdom of God, and they have proved a comfort to me. Epaphras, that's another name, who is one of you and a servant of Christ Jesus, sends greetings. He is always wrestling in prayer for you, that you may stand firm in all the will of God, mature and fully assured. I vouch for him that he is working hard for you and for those at Laodicea and the other place. Verse 14, our dear friend Luke, the doctor, another name, and Demas, another name, sends greetings. Give my greetings to the brothers at Laodicea, and then it goes on and on. So all I wanted you to see here, if you have been a kind of individual who has marveled at the wonders that Paul worked in the New Testament, what you realize is that whenever you read, because this is just in Colossians, but if you go to other books of the New Testament, you find that Paul worked with so many other different people. I mean, we have not even spoken about Barnabas, and we know the famous story of Paul and Barnabas. So even Cyrus, there are so many individuals that we can mention that Paul worked with, and I'm just going through all of this just to show you that connectivity is an absolute must when it comes to fulfilling purpose. I'll read a final verse. Again, I said I'm going to reference a lot from scriptures because I learn a lot from scriptures. So the final portion that I just want to read for you and I, just to close this off, is Luke chapter 8, verse 1 to 3. Now, this is concerning the greatest leader of all time. And we are trying to become amazing leaders. So what can we learn from the greatest leader of all time, who after 2,000 years later, his impact is still felt? So let us go to Luke chapter 8, verse 1 to 3. Okay, the Bible reads, or I read the Bible. After this, Jesus traveled from one town and village to another, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God. The 12 were with him. Who else apart from the 12? Who else was with him? And also some women who had been cured of evil spirits and diseases. Mary, that's one name, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had come out. Joanna, that's another name, the wife of Chuza, the manager of Herod's household. Susanna, that's another name, and many others. These women, what were they doing? Were helping to support them. Who is them? Jesus and the disciples, out of their own means. So the entire ministry of Jesus was also one that did not lack in connectivity with others, connection with others. So here is how I'll summarize this for you. Any vision greater than one man will require more than one man. If my dream can be fulfilled by me alone, it's kind of a small one. Any vision greater than one man will require more than one man. And so connection with others is an absolute must. Without question, you are going to need people. I am going to need people. Perhaps the question is, how then do we begin to build those networks, to build those relationships? Because we know, we are aware at this point that we need others. I think it starts, first of all, with discovery. And that is a discovery that starts with the initial connection with God, the discovery of purpose. Because purpose will give you boundaries. It is not every relationship you will need, but the boundaries of the kind of people and places and books and whatever you have to do with your life is set by purpose. Purpose is a restrainer. The Bible says where there is no vision, people cast off restraint. So the lack of purpose also brings a lack of restraint. You and I will try to build every relationship minus purpose. So purpose gives us direction. So that is where we start. That begins to narrow the kind of friendships, relationships, and networks we are now going to become intentional in building. So purpose is a primary thing. It will give you boundaries. It will give you boundaries. If you're moving from Ndola to Lusaka, you know where to go. Whether you're going to go to the airport, if you're going to go to town to get on a bus, you know which buses don't go to Lusaka. Therefore, you won't waste your time trying to get a ticket from there. Purpose, vision is a restrainer. It is a restraint. So that is how I can summarize our conversation tonight. And because we have a good segment of Q&A, I'll not say much, but I'll just wrap up everything right here. So that is my 30 minutes, and I'll end there. Thank you so much once again for having me and for allowing me to share a few thoughts with you. But I'll end from there and hand over to, I don't know who's going to take over, but I'll hand over back to our host.
All right. Thank you very much, Engineer, for those wonderful words and, really, really important sentiments. I'm sure people are itching with quite a number of questions, as is always the case. So, as always, kindly put those questions in writing, and Engineer will be able to address them. A vision that is greater than one man will require more than one man. That's a really, really wonderful sentiment. And from an engineer like Dr. Ndashi, a person who has passed through as a system like each and every one of us, gives us really a view and a clear view with regards to the route we need to take with regards to reaching our destinies. Okay, this is a question, but this one came through my DM, and it says, well, Engineer, you have alluded to quite a fundamental aspect with regards to connectivity, and this one is in relation to the current state of affairs, because many other times when people say, well, bring up the issues of connectivity and it's related to corruption, how would you differentiate corruption in modern day and actually utilizing connectivity?
Thank you so much for that question. So how do you utilize connection in, how do you, is it differentiate? Sorry, just the last part again.
The question really is bordering on the fact that in modern day, connectivity is affiliated to corruption. So how do you differentiate the two? Because many of the times where I know engineers, so in an instance where I need something, I'll just run to engineer, and engineer will be there to help in that sense.
Got you. I think the two are different. A lot of times when we talk about corruption, of course, we are talking about there is an involvement of something that is unlawful, right? There's an involvement in something that is unlawful. But I think when you talk about connectivity and just having a network, it's let me just give you an example of something that I started doing some years back. So whenever I went to a meeting, I was not shy to say what I do, even if no one was interested at that point. right? So I would tell them about my media business, right? I would tell them about my leadership aspect, and I still do that to them. Now, all I'm trying to do in those moments when we're having these conversations is that you never know where any one of these individuals is going to land or when they're going to need your service, right? And so if they, at a later time, they call me because they need a certain service, that is not corruption, but they are just taken from what they know by reason of our network and by reason of the connection that we do share. Right? But if they are asking for a favor and in exchange they have to kind of pay me. Maybe if I work in an institution, of course we know the basic meaning of corruption and how it takes place, in different places. So I think the two are fundamentally different, because corruption more often than not does involve doing something that is unlawful, but someone remembering your name, someone remembering you, that is very different from corruption. And of course, they're not just remembering you, but you're also a person worthy to be remembered. I think that is something that is also worth mentioning, because we have to get away from the notion that just because we are in the same network, I'm going to call you for a service or favor your service if your service is mediocre, or if my service is mediocre. So I have to be a person worthy being remembered as well. And that is to say, not in the sense that we talk about, in a Christian sense, when we talk about being worthy of love from God, but I'm talking about really being worthy to be remembered in the sense that I deliver excellence when you call on me. So I think that's a distinction that I would make. I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's loud and clear. Koala Chanda asks, how do you get in touch with yourself to discover what tools you have? How do you get in touch with yourself to discover what tools you have?
Thank you so much, Koala. That's an absolutely amazing question, and I think it is something that we should all really be thinking about if we haven't started that journey. So, Koala, what I would tell you is that when it comes to self-discovery, first of all, it's a lifelong journey, right? But when you're trying to just know your strengths and the tools that you have, they are actually tools that can help you to do that. So, for instance, something that we have done at the Legacy Leaders, and something that I've done with all of my mentees is that I take them through assessments. So there are basic assessments that we do. We do some plum profiling, and then we do personality assessments. Like, there are these tools that you can sign up for a course, or you can try to look online just for stuff that you can find and use, or you can get in touch with us. We can set you up with something like that. And so there are these tools that just help you. I remember I did a course as well sometime back with Envision Leadership Institute, and they really took us through a number of assessments, and those assessments can really be grueling. But they are so important, because they will really just help you discover so much about yourself. So you can use tools. That is one. The other one as well is people around us are also essential in identifying the things that we are good at. What is something that people are constantly telling you? I think you might want to pay attention to that and just begin to check it. And what things do you have a knack for learning? Things that come easy to you, can easily learn things. So I think those are the three things that I would tell you in summary. You can use tools, pay attention to what people are constantly saying, pay attention to things that come with ease to you. Because I'll tell you this, and of course this is for everyone. Our areas of gifting are the areas we also tend to be the most intuitive. So you will realize that the things that are intuitive to you, for others they are not. And you can keep complaining about why everybody doesn't see it the same way you see it, or why it's so hard for that person and that person. You can keep complaining like that until you realize that it's actually an area of gifting for you. That is why some things may come as easy to you as they seem to. And of course, gifts can also be perfected. I absolutely believe that there's an aspect of me in terms of communication that is a gift. It doesn't mean it cannot be perfected or worked on, right? So there are these talents and gifts that we have that we can discover in those different ways, and then begin to strengthen our strengths, so to say.
All right, wonderfully put. Ngandwe asks, in line with purpose, sorry, how can one tell that they are in the right place, be it in church, friendship, or relationship? I don't know if that one's loud and clear.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, right. It is. Thank you for that question, Emmanuel. Great question as well. So how can one tell if they're in the right place? Purpose in itself has a lot that it says. But let me give you a litmus test when it comes to purpose. One of the things that I've learned about purpose, the litmus test is, so with purpose comes some sort of like the vision of where you see things and just what you're trying to respond to. So the litmus test that I've found is that I have learned is anything that is given of God. First of all, the first question is, does it glorify God? Does it glorify God? The second question is, does it save people? Does it save people? Third question is, does it give me a sense of fulfillment? So whenever I'm doing anything that I'm calling purpose, those are three questions that I'm asking. Does it glorify God? Does it save people? Does it give me a sense of fulfillment? Because purpose does that, has a way to do that. Now, whenever you find yourself living outside of this, you are in a place or actively engaging in what does not glorify God. It's not saving people in any way. It's just about self. And then it's not giving any sense of fulfillment, and it's not just a feeling. There's a fulfillment that comes from doing what we're wired to do. So this is kind of like a litmus test that you can use as you are asking that. And if you know what the purpose is, if that is clear enough, it's somehow as a way to eliminate what is not a part of it. I'll go back to the same example that I used about traveling. If you're moving from Undola to any other place, and you have a reason for why you're going there, okay. Let me. I've just got another example. I hope this will catch through. Right. If I'm going to shower, I don't need a raincoat. If I'm going to shower, I don't need a raincoat. The purpose for which I'm taking that eliminates that need. Right. If I'm going out, it's raining. I don't need soap. I need a raincoat. So because of what I'm about to engage in, it eliminates what I do not need. So I think whenever purpose is clear, it has a way to eliminate what is not needed. That is my best effort in answering, in trying to answer how you can tell if you're in the right place or relationship. It should be able to answer those. Pass the litmus test first of all, but also if purpose is clear, it should tell you that okay, you don't need a raincoat right now. What you need is soap.
Wonderful. You don't need a raincoat when you're going into shower. Wonderfully put. John asks, in as much as we desire to establish connections, I believe sustaining connections is equally important. So how does one sustain connections?
I love this platform. I love this platform. I think it's not every platform you go to where people ask such brilliant questions. So thank you for bringing such brilliant questions that I hope even I to learn as I talk to you. So sustaining connections is not a passive work; it's an active work. This is something that even, especially this year, that has dawned on me that even friendships, relationships needs to be serviced. They need to be serviced. So I'll tell you practically some of the things that I realized this year, that in servicing friendships and relationships, I'm now doing things that I was not doing as much before, whether just setting out a day where I know that I'm just going to make a few calls, or or showing up for days that matter to people that I'm in relationship or doing life with, right? Because that matters. So I'm servicing that relationship. So it takes deliberate effort. Any relationship that is without deliberate effort, it kind of begins to die. If you notice that even these major corporations or institutions at the start of the year, they may send out diaries to some of their key clients. They may send out journals, or they may send out thank you cards, whatever it may be. They are servicing a relationship. They are servicing a connection. That's what they are doing. It may be strengthening their brand, of course, because if they send a diary, it's going to sit on tables and all of that. It may be contributing to their brand, but also in instance they are servicing that connection. So it takes intentionality, and this is true for so many things in our lives. This is what you and I need to learn, that a lot of things about our lives, if not all things, takes intentionality. There's no one who is impacted by accident. It takes a certain level of intentionality. You may start your leadership by accident, or you just find yourself in leadership and being amazing by accident. But trust me, for you to elevate to the next level, it's going to take a level of intentionality. There are things that you are doing now and you're able to fulfill while you are in school. But I'm learning now that there are things that I may forget, not because I'm forgetful, but I just need to have a certain level of intentionality for me to be able to fulfill those obligations. It may just look like, hey, Ndashi, why don't you pull up your Google Calendar and set in your events, your reminders, and everything? I'm not a forgetful person, but when it's a lot, I need a different level of intentionality to be able to fulfill those obligations. And I think even when it comes to connections and relationships, there is a way that we can deliberately service them. It's something that you have to be intentional about. It takes work. It won't work unless you work it. So, and also I think we have to be careful to not be quick to say it's not working just because we're not putting in work, right? Or to say it is not for me just because it requires for us to put in work. There has to be a difference there. Putting in work doesn't mean it's not for you. There's just a place where we have to put in work. Yeah, I think that's how I can answer that.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. There are quite a lot of questions coming. A lot of questions, but I feel one that is really, really important, and we wouldn't be doing this, this webinar justice if we do not address this one. This one is really, really fundamental. Engineer, I know for a fact, for you to get to the point where you are, you have, encountered situations where you develop sustainable relationships, that's business and the likes, and these are relationships that are productive. So how does one set themselves up for productive connectivity, as it were?
How does one set themselves up for productive connectivity? I will take us back to something that we mentioned in our conversation, and that is purpose. Trust. Like this, there is no running away from it. Because what purpose does is that it will say where you need to go. It will say what you need to read. It will say what you should be interested in. And so just because it says where you need to go, if I'm on the road that is going to a certain place, I'm trying to find an area that we may all be familiar with. Okay, I'm in Lusaka, right? So I hope you track with me here. I'm in Lusaka. If I say that I'm going to Avondale, right? I'm going to have Avondale from town. I'm going to Avondale. If I get on that road to go to Avondale from town, the only people that I will meet on that road are only people that are in my direction. right? I'll sit on the same bus with people that are going my direction. They may drop off sooner than I or drop off later than I. But the fact is, I'm only on that bus with people that are going my direction. So just by reason of defining my direction, I will meet people going my direction there. But if I'm going everywhere else, I will meet everyone else. So again, it takes us back to the fact that when it is clear enough of what the direction is, it will tell me that I need to attend that seminar. When I attend that seminar, I will find in that seminar people that are of like interests and trying to grow themselves probably in the same way that I'm trying to grow myself in. If I say I'm going for that conference, I'll probably meet people of like interests. So getting on a bus that is going a particular direction will help you to meet people going your direction. There is no running away from it. So I think that's where it starts from. When that is defined, a lot of these things begin to sort of develop more organically, right? And you may, of course, set yourself up to say, I'm going for that networking event. But you won't go for any networking event. You are trying to become a tremendous engineer. You have no business going to a runway models networking event. What are you going to do there? What is the point, right? So what you're trying to do has already limited your options, your networking events, and the kind of events that are going to matter for you. So I think to answer that question, Kalenga, it takes us right back to purpose, and just if that is clear, it helps us to have meaningful connections. There are things happening in our country right now that I don't even know because of the pages I follow and the ones that I don't, because of the people that I interact with and the people that I don't. So that has kind of narrowed everything down for me.
Wonderfully put. I feel with that sentiment, you even answer the question that Belvin Ziambo had. The question read, as youths, we desire to connect with high-profile people, but then we fail to sustain the connection and establish a connection. Okay, so I'm sure they meant to sustain the relationship and establish a connection. How best can we connect ourselves with such people, and how can we sustain the connection and the purpose with such people?
Thank you so much, Belgian, for the question. So one of the things that you and I have to constantly be doing while we are trying to get connected to high-profile individuals is to keep building. Let me quote a scripture here. The Bible says, "The gift of a man makes room for him and brings him before the presence of kings, before the presence of the great." So the gift of a man, it means the man needs to have a gift. Makes room for him and brings him before the presence of the great. But this is how I like to stretch that, right? So your gift will make room for you. It may bring you into the room, right? But what will keep you in the room is the substance. Let me give you something that is very practical. One of the things that I do is media graphics. That has brought me into some rooms. But what has kept me into those rooms or in those rooms has not been graphics. It may have been the door opener, but it wasn't what kept me there. It was now the other substance that I had to offer when that opportunity presented itself. So you have to keep building. And when the opportunity comes, you need to have substance. Many years ago, I heard this statement, and I quoted verbatim by Bishop Tudor Bismarck. He said, "If you know that somehow your race, your age, or your gender is somehow disadvantaged, every time you are in a place, in a meeting, whatsoever, anytime you open your mouth to speak, make sure you make sense." So, to follow that up, what kind of substance am I talking about? Just keep growing yourself. Keep learning. Whatever is your area of interest, because I'm assuming if you're going to get connected with high-profile individuals, there has to be some sort of commonality with your areas of interest. So whatever is your area of interest, keep learning, keep building it, keep building on it. Like, just keep growing. Keep growing. I feel like this is such an important question, but also I have practical experience with this. So that's what I'm trying to take time to actually in answering it. So you keep growing and keep building. What that does for you is like you are again. I learned so much from scriptures. I'm gonna go back to scriptures. It's like Daniel who has this gift to be able to interpret dreams, but he is not yet connected to a high profile individual. But if Daniel stopped working on his gift and interpreting dreams for others, when the time came for him to interpret a dream for King Nebuchadnezzar, he wouldn't have been able to if he sat on that gift. But he kept working it and using it in purpose. And when the time came, when there was a need in the palace, he was called and he interpreted that dream. So the gift made room for him, and the substance in him sustained him when he entered that room. Same thing with Joseph. Joseph was able to interpret dreams. He did it in prison. When he was called by the Pharaoh, he was able to interpret the dream. The gift made room for him. The substance helps him to stay in the room. So that's what I mean by keep building. Whatever is your area of interest, whatever it is that you're interested in, keep building, keep building, keep building, keep building. Yeah.
Definitely, your talents might get you into a room, but substance will keep you there. Alright, another one from John says, I believe connections span across people of different cultures, beliefs, and values. My question is, how do you build meaningful connections with all these aspects in mind?
Okay, so we have a question of different cultures, different beliefs, and values. Okay, I think so. The common thread in these questions is, I think, what our conversation is tonight: purpose and connectivity, right? So the answer to this question is actually in our theme for tonight: purpose and connectivity. So purpose is actually what is going to connect you, right? The common denominator, despite being different in culture, despite being different in belief, despite having different values, we are all going to Avondale. This one thing we agree, so we can get on this path together. Right? So purpose becomes the common denominator. It is two cannot walk together unless they agree. Again, that is scripture. How shall two walk together unless they agree? So the point of agreement is the purpose, is the thing that is driving the both of you. It's a vision, and the vision that is common that is driving the both of you. That is the only thing it cuts across culture. If you care about health, you care about health in Zambia, there's someone who cares about health in India, someone who cares about health in Morocco, someone who cares about health in South Africa. Those passions, regardless of the borders and the different cultures and beliefs, if the passion, the vision is common, there is going to be a connection. So that is a connecting point. Again, so it all goes back to purpose. It becomes the factor in how we can form those connections. I mean, there are different things you can talk to me about, and it may just be a one-off conversation and not a connection, unless I'm passionate about it as well. Right? So I think that's in part how we can develop those connections with different cultures and everything. So again, where do we meet these people? I think sometimes it's about some others will have more opportunities than others in terms of being in places that are with diverse people. So sometimes you sign up for online meetings where you have an opportunity to meet people. You deliberately attend seminars. So that is the practical steps that you do. If you want to connect with people, you go where people are. Then you can begin to form relationships in such places.
Wow, it's at this point I feel it's never a meeting. It's never a webinar if there's if there's not really so much to learn, because I'm taking note and I have quite a number of things as it has always been. So thank you very much, firstly, engineer, for that insightful elaboration of those facts. All right, let me get quickly to Angela's question. I saw Angela's question somewhere. Just a minute. Okay, she asks. Okay, I lost it. What is the essence of mentorship? And is it possible to be able to achieve one's goals without mentorship? How can one find a mentor?
Okay, so that's a three-part question,
Yes.
right? The essence of mentorship, the possibility of achievement without it,
And how can one find
and
a mentor?
how to find a mentor. Okay, thank you so much, Angela, for the question. Or what is the essence of mentorship? Let me start there. So, a mentorship is a growth relationship, it's a growth-focused relationship, it's a development-focused relationship, right? So the essence of mentorship is being able to learn from someone who has gone ahead of you. It's gaining the wisdom of someone who has done something or has learned something, who has gone ahead in something, and they pass on that knowledge. Mentorship is in essence standing, as the phrase goes, standing on the shoulders of a giant. Right now, the giant may not be the giant as we would like to imagine all the time. Sometimes the giant is your sister. Sometimes the giant is your elder brother or your mom. They all have substance that they can offer, and so mentorship can come in different forms and fashions. But there are people that definitely know more than I do, that have gone ahead of me in different areas that I can do well to learn from. Right. So that's the essence of mentorship. It is maximizing your ability to learn from by standing on the shoulders of giants, seeing further because of where you're standing. Someone has done it. There's no need to start rebuilding everything. I think we do ourselves a lot of injustice when we're trying to build everything from the ground up, when there's a foundation that has already been laid, and we can build on that. That's in part the essence of mentorship. Is it possible to achieve one's goals even without mentorship? It is, right? It is, but mentorship does clear a lot of hurdles within your way. It does clear a lot of hurdles within your way. It is possible to achieve, however, to achieve one's goals without mentorship. I've not had mentorship from the time I was born to date. No, there have been seasons in my life where I didn't have it, but even in those seasons, I did manage to achieve something. Right? But absolutely the other side or the blessing that I have had, that I've witnessed in mentorship, because of how I've learned things, how I've processed things, and things or mistakes that I have avoided because of it. So I hope that clears your mind in that God is not unfair. I will say that God is not unfair. So yeah, I'll leave that one as that. How can one find a mentor? First of all, I think it starts with realizing your need. It's not good to do something just because it's trendy. You have to realize why it matters to you as an individual. So you don't have to get into mentorship just because everyone says they have a mentor. You have to realize why it matters to you. So find your why, and do it prayerfully. Especially if it's a kind of mentorship relationship that is long term, because sometimes you can have someone mentor you through your career. You may be in school, in a higher learning institution, and you can have a mentor for that season, but there are also mentors that are more holistic. They're just not about your career or your health or your relationship. They are more holistic, right? Especially pray over everything, but especially for those kind of mentorship relationships, you really want to make sure that you submit that to God. Would be what I say there. And how can you find one? Don't look for a big name. I think it's part of what a mistake we usually make when we're trying to find mentors. We try to find not people that can help us, but people that have a name. And usually when they have a name, the reason that they have a name also entails that they are very busy, and your relationship might not end up being as effective as you would want it to be. They may inspire you, they may teach you one or two things, but usually the people we need are usually around us. So I think we have to disconnect ourselves from the need to only have high-profile individuals as our mentors, but to look to look around in terms of the people that God has surrounded us with and see what we can learn and where we can get mentorship. So that's what I can say about how you can find a mentor. Recognize your need, pray about it, look around. Don't just look at high profile individuals unless that's where the direction is. That's still fine, and if it works, yeah, it works.
Wonderfully put. Thank you very much, Engineer Lee. There's a quote that states, well, the many times I have seen far is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Engineer, right there, you know, you're the giant in this case, and you've helped us see connectivity and purpose from a different perspective. I'm sure each and every other person agrees with me that this has been an insightful session, and you have helped us understand quite a number of aspects with regards to purpose and connectivity. For those joining us, you can, you know, catch our pre-recorded webinars, those that came prior to this one, and yeah, on our YouTube channel, and there are various platforms on which you can have a look at whatever took whatever went on, from purpose in academics, purpose in relationships, till, well, purpose in connectivity, the one we're discussing here. Even purpose in career was discussed by Dr. earlier. So all those topics plus more under purpose, you know, you can catch on our YouTube platform, including this one. I'd really love to go on with the question and answers, but unfortunately time isn't our best ally. So in the best interest of time, okay, let me just read this this last question. Yeah, this last question. Oh, it's not really a question, but a statement. So sorry. All right. So allow me to call upon the foundation president to give his closing remarks, and then I'll come back to wrap everything up.
All right. Thank you so very much. I hope I'm audible. You can just raise your hand.
Yeah, audible, loud and clear.
I'm audible. All right, great. So thank you so much for. Let me start off by saying thank you to our presenter, Engineer Ndashi, for such a wonderful presentation and the knowledge that has been shared to us on this platform. I mean, we are filled to the brim and we are overflowing. So thank you so very much for really honoring our invitation and for coming through. And I also want to say thank you to everyone that made it to the webinar. I believe we have been blessed and we've been greatly impacted. So thank you so much, and my apologies for, on behalf of our moderator earlier, I think there were some network issues here and there. But thank you so much, engineer. We are blessed, and from the overflow of questions, I believe this is not the first nor the last time that we are going to have you on this platform. So thank you so very much, and over to you, Mr. Jack.
All right. Thank you very much to everybody that found time to join us and join in on this discussion, for all your questions, contributions, and I mean, I'll be failing if I don't thank Engineer once more for coming through with that insightful deliberation. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our session today. So before we close, allow me to close in a word of prayer. Spirit of a living God, we thank you for your word today, for what has come to us, for the life of the engineer who has impacted us greatly, and the information that he has brought to us. We ask that your grace, your love, and mercy be with us now and forevermore, and until the end of time. Amen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And we're coming back next week, same time, same place, same platform, with another yet different, but just as insightful and loaded